My family were born in Kenya and they still live in Kenya and they call it Kenya. I don't need to lecture from B&M activists on how to pronounce Kenya.
No, it's Kenya. That's the British way of explaining it.
Well,
so that's the difference, right? So you were born in Kenya. I wasn't born in Kenya. I was born here. So the British pronunciation is actually Kenya.
My family were actually. Thanks so much.
Well, the British education system tells you that you should pronounce it as Kenya. Just so you know, I went through it.
Thanks so much.
And I'm glad that you told me that, because
it's just like people in the West.
Empire actually, just so you know, slavers, they gave people that look like me their surnames, right? So we've also got the British education system that starts everything from slavery. We've got the fact that the British Empire made sure that they named black people with their surnames. So all of these things can be traced back, and of course we have the evidence, 200 years of clear-cut evidence.
Hold on a second,
I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question, Rafe. You just spoke about the fact that why we keep focusing on the British. I'm telling you why. I've just told you British education system, and I've also told you that
why aren't we holding to account the people who were
traceable.
taking part in the 1950s Mau Mau uprising?
And we
know
should
who these
include those
people are. We're not talking about things from
And I'm
200
agreeing
years
with you,
ago.
Rafe.
And let's just also acknowledge,
you should include those people.
in the decades after independence in 1963, Kenya became the success story of Africa. Without any mineral resources, it became the economic and political showpiece for Africa. Why? Because of its British colonial inheritance. Its parliamentary democracy, the constitutional separation of powers, its British-based military, civil service and police, all of the institutions. And for 45 years, thanks to that British heritage and the leadership of President Kenyatta, Kenya became a showpiece. The last 15 years haven't been that bad, but Kenya haven't been that good. But Kenya is still one of the top three countries. Well, my family were born in Kenya and they still live in Kenya and they call it Kenya. I don't need to lecture from B&M activists on how to pronounce Kenya.
No, it's Kenya. That's the British way of explaining it.
Well,
that's the difference, right? So you were born in Kenya. I wasn't born in Kenya. I was born here. So the British pronunciation is actually Kenya.
My family were actually. Thanks so much.
Well, the British education system tells you that you should pronounce it as Kenya. Just so you know, I went through it.
Thanks so much.
And I'm glad that you told me that, because
it's just like people in the West calling it Mumbai when all Indians say Bombay. All right, we don't need to have this revisionist.
This is why it's so important to experience lived experiences. Thank you, Eamon. Sorry.
When you come in here, you were basically saying, look, it's a simple thing to do. It's the right thing.
Yeah.
Charles should say, sorry, that's easy. What I'm learning, listening to both of you,
thank you.
It's not easy.
No, it's not. It's quite convoluted, especially when you address and take in consideration my points as well as Rafe's points. It's very convoluted. And when we talk about benefits, right? So you obviously spoke about the benefits in terms of colonialism, and I find that really uncomfortable because we're kind of missing the main point here. Let me just say something. Can I just finish my point, please? Let's just talk about benefits, because that's your main point here, right? So in terms of benefits, well, first and foremost, you cannot say that black people benefit from colonialism and slavery. That
Absolutely
would actually...
can.
Okay, hold on a second. Well, let's just be clear. It's basically, by the same token, you were also saying that, I don't know...
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
Israel benefited Jews and Hitler benefited due to the Holocaust. You're basically saying that in terms of your basic logic. You're also saying that it applies to Israel and Jews and those that were oppressed.
Marxist.
I'm not a Marxist.
I'm
not. That's your prejudice.
But
that's your prejudice.
Kenya benefits hugely from its colonial inheritance. Britain just gave in 2022 £100 million of investment. Canada that same year gave £40 million investment. Why? Because of their British Commonwealth associations and British Commonwealth links. The top three countries in Africa for $1 million investments are Nigeria, South Africa and Kenya. What's the common link there? All former British colonies.